Hello, welcome back to Life Lessons from a Lawyer. Peter Hastings, lawyer, educationalist, administrator. Um, Today, now talking about something you probably never thought of is the creative element of being a lawyer, which again is a good lesson, I think, for everybody because lawyers, it's true, are probably seen as conservative and unwilling to change, and often saying, "Well, this is how things have always been, and therefore we've got to stick to it." But in fact, the laws that we have now are not the same laws that we had 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 100 years ago. And all those laws were written by lawyers. And certainly in England, the House of Parliament would make the laws. Not only are there a lot of lawyers in there, but when they write the actual laws, they give them to lawyers to write, even though the politicians tell them what they'd like to have. They give them to lawyers to write, and the lawyers have to come up with the answers as to how to write them. So, for example, in the early 60s in England, it was illegal. Any sort of homosexuality was illegal. So was any sort of abortion. Uh, Both of those became legal in the 60s. Um, and those laws were written by lawyers, and then they're interpreted by other lawyers in the courts later on. Um, so this shows you that lawyers can actually help progress things, because having the ideas without having someone who can work the rules out isn't really going to work. And this is still going on. For example, there's a lot of pressure in England to change the way that people hold their flats in particular, because flats in England are run by leases and they tend to be unfair. And there's a whole movement to stop this and change it. And I have a friend who's involved in a very different form of owning a property or sharing a property, where, in fact, there is no real owner except the people who live there. It's a lease that allows the properties can be sold, but they can only be sold for the same price, basically, plus how much the wages have gone up, not how much the house has gone up. So this stops them being a crazy investment for gamblers and starts making them homes for people. And they have rules, but the rules are about looking after the communal garden, uh, who collects the post on which day, and so on. And these the good ideas come from ordinary people, but the legal framework that this is put into are worked out by lawyers, because they know how the system works and they know how to word a way round it. So I think it's useful to remember that while we have rules and ways of doing things, um, there is always a scope for change and changing things. And what seemed impossible 5 years ago is now possible. And remembering that the laws are only words that people have written down. And so they're only a reflection of what people have decided to do. And that's, I think, always the case in our personal lives as well. But the change, however drastic the change is, in the end, it's only a reflection of what people have changed in their own heads and their own hearts as to what they actually want to do. If you actually want to change a law, you can do it. And if you actually want to change something in your own life, your own relationships, your own business, you can do it. So there's always hope, even for lawyers. Okay, so that's the last episode in this series. I hope you enjoyed it and taken something from it. I've enjoyed doing it. Hopefully we'll see each other again soon. Thanks very much.